Lynette Hooker is missing. According to her husband Brian, she fell overboard off a boat into the sea and he couldn't find her. Shortly after that, Brian was detained by authorities in the Bahamas and then released. Before all of that, he sent some text to a friend explaining what had happened, telling his story. So how do his words stand up? Let's see in this episode of Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I've studied the words of thousands of criminals, so I know how people use words to lie, to cheat, and to manipulate, and I know what the truth sounds like too. So let's look at the story. Lynette Hooker fell off overboard, according to her husband Brian, off a boat off the coast of the Bahamas. He was taken in by the authorities, kept for quite a while, and then he has been released. The search is still ongoing at the time of recording. Now, before all of that, Brian sent some text to a friend, and I'm going to analyse the words, and only the words in those texts, to see if we can get some clue as to what happened. So, the friend texts and says, "Did we see y'all on the news? ABC World News said Lynette fell off a boat." Brian's reply is, "Yes, brother, I'm afraid so. Off the dinghy in some choppy seas," which I think is a typo for seas, "on the way back to the sailboat. The wind blew me away from her and she swam towards the sailboat and we lost sight of each other pretty quickly as it was just about sundown." So let's break down that. Number one, the last text said Lynette fell off a boat, and he says, "Yes, brother, I'm afraid so." So we have confirmation of what was on the news. And then he says, "Yes, brother, I'm afraid so." "I'm afraid so" is an interesting thing there. It's not a confirmation of, yes, that's what has happened, or "I'm terribly worried," or "sadly, just I'm afraid so." Then he says, off the dinghy in some choppy seas on the way back to the sailboat. He doesn't mention Lynette at all there. He's taken her out of that sentence. She doesn't exist in that sentence. Just off the dinghy in some choppy seas. Not she fell off the dinghy on some choppy seas. Just off the dinghy in some choppy seas on the way back to the sailboat. Now, he uses the word choppy there to explain what the seas were like, which I'm starting to feel storytelling going on here. He doesn't say it was the choppy seas that caused some rocking or like we were holding on to the boat or it was really rough and she couldn't hold on any longer. He just mentions they were choppy. On the way back to the sailboat, I want to know what was going on there. It feels like we're halfway through a story and he hasn't given us the beginning of the story there. He then says, "The wind blew me away from her." He comes first, so he's talking about this from his point of view, not the victim's point of view at the moment. The victim as in the person that is currently missing, not the wind blew her away from me. It's blew me away from her. Kind of giving himself there the responsibility or non-responsibility. It was the wind that blew me away from her. So it wasn't my fault that I couldn't rescue her. It was the wind. And she swam towards the sailboat. I want to know how he knows she swam towards the sailboat. Could he see it? Again, kind of feel like I'm getting half a story here. He then says, "And we lost sight of each other." He's telling that story from both points of view, not from his point of view, not "I lost sight of her," which would be his experience. He's giving us her experience as well, but I want to know how he knows her experience. We lost sight of each other pretty quickly. Again, just adding some action words in here to say it was choppy seas, it was windy, the wind was blowing, and this all happened pretty quickly as it was just about sundown. Not it was sundown, but it's just about sundown, as in, look, I want to give you the impression it was really dark here, but no, he just says, it was just about sundown. So this first answer is a story full of storytelling, setting up a narrative of what happened, not what's happening. Not, "Yeah, I'm afraid so. Lynette is missing." No concern for Lynette expressed at all there. Tell us about what happened in the past, not what's happening with them right now. The search goes on, or it doesn't even say that she's currently missing. It doesn't say we can't find her or she's been missing for 24 hours, however long it was. No concern about Lynette at all. It's all about him and his point of view. It's as if, to me, he's setting up a narrative. It reminds me of nothing more than a 911 call from a guilty person who is so desperate to tell their story, their constructed story to say they're innocent when they call 911, that they forget to actually put in any of the real human emotion things like concern. That's what that reminds me of there, and that's why I got very interested in this. He continues his story. "I drifted and tried to paddle with one oar for the next 7 hours until I washed up behind the shore of the next island over and was able to get some help finally." All about him again. Lynette has disappeared from this story. Not just disappeared factually, she's disappeared from his story. I drifted, so this is about him, and tried to paddle with one oar. Tried, says he didn't really succeed. And also, why one oar? Again, I feel like lots of this story is missing. Why did he only have one oar? Did it blow off or, something like that? In the choppy seas, did it get lost? I don't know, and he doesn't say. For the next 7 hours, that feels like an alibi setting. This is what I was doing for 7 hours. This is why I wasn't searching, was I had this one paddle and I was drifting until I washed up behind the shore of the next island over and was able to get some help finally. Again, like I say, Lynette has disappeared. She gets nary a mention here, even though she is the person he should be most concerned about because she's missing at sea and he's safe. This is all about him. We are all still searching. A lot is going on right now, but I thank you for checking on us. So we are all still searching. I want to know who the we is. Again, he doesn't explain. Is this him and I don't know, were they there with other people? Or is this him and search and rescue or anything like that? Again, I feel like I'm getting half the story. And again, searching for who? Lynette goes missing once more. We're still searching for her. He doesn't want to mention Lynette at all. She's been mentioned, once in all of this, twice in all of this. A lot is going on right now. Interesting. What is that? Again, half a story. What is going on? But I thank you for checking on me. Now, a lot is going on should not be exceptional. His wife is missing. A lot is going on should be a given, but he feels like mentioning that. Then he says something really strange. Being on the news is a huge burden, and I just had my first ever news organisation call me a few minutes ago. Being on the news is a huge burden? Surely there are heavier burdens going on right now. Your wife missing is a huge burden. And also, being on the news, raising awareness should be a good thing. It might mean that people keep an eye out for Lynette in the area. Being on the news should not be described as a huge burden here, unless you feel it's a huge burden because you have to talk to the news and you don't want to. He also said, I just had my first ever news organisation call me a few minutes ago. He's expecting more calls there by saying it's his first ever. It's not just a call, it's my first ever. I think he knows that there's going to be more news organisations interested in him. The friend replies, and these texts have become quite famous. The friend replies, "You're in our prayers," with a typo. We've all been there. I've done the viral tweet that's lots and lots and lots of people have seen it. I've got a typo in the middle of it. You're in our prayers. Brian's reply is, "Thank you, friend. Our family is in hell right now." Our family, so he's talking about, again, a wider group of people. But what about Lynette? What sort of hell is she going through right now? The concern is all for the people that are still around. No concern expressed for Lynette at all. Also, going through hell right now is the more popular phrase, the one I would expect a little bit more. Our family is going through hell right now, but they are in hell. Going through suggests that, there's some end to it. We're going through hell, but we'll be through hell at some point. But no, they are in hell, stuck there. Search and Rescue just called and said they had searched a bunch of areas today and no joy. So no joy is no joy is quite a light way of saying, sadly, they have not found my missing wife. But, no joy. Focus on joy rather than on the sadness. We're going back out tomorrow, but a storm is coming in on Wednesday. So, Lynette missing again, no concern for her stated. And also, if this was Monday, so they're going out for her tomorrow, but a storm is coming in Wednesday, he seems to express no hope at all that the search and rescue will find Lynette tomorrow. They are going back out tomorrow, and hopefully they find her then because a storm is coming in on Wednesday or something like that. Might be a little bit more hopeful, but the hope seems to have gone there. The friend says, please keep us informed, and if we can do anything, let us know ASAP. I know the pressure on you is hard. I'm praying hard, and if you need to talk or anything, let me know. Do you have a place to stay on the island, or are you staying on the boat? Any way I can help, please ask. Brian replies, good morning, Daniel, and thank you for reaching out and supporting us. And once more, he seems to have this, support of a crowd, but he doesn't mention who this crowd are. I don't know who us is. Is it him and Lynette? It doesn't seem to be because he doesn't mention Lynette a lot. He then explains some logistics. I got the boat back to Marsh Harbour yesterday after the fire department brought me back my dinghy. I'm on a mooring ball at a place called Conchin, staying on the boat. So he does answer the question of where are you staying? He says, I'm staying on the boat. He then says, my sister and brother-in-law are flying in later this morning to stay for a couple of days. I'll probably stay with them for a night or two while weather happens, but then I plan on heading back out to the site and continuing search. So again, no hope that she will be found in the meantime. So the search is going to go on. He's going to stay for a night or two with his sister, and weather happens again. You know, no concern about what this weather might mean for someone missing at sea at all, just that the search will continue after it because, you know, he doesn't think she's going to be found in the meantime for some reason. He then says the most glorious phrase I've heard in a long time. I will most likely definitely need help in the future. So I will, certainty, most likely, uncertainty, definitely, certainty. I will most likely definitely need help in the future, but I just don't know what it is yet. I'm trying to take it a day at a time and keep the faith. Search and rescue is out again today before some big wins come tomorrow. So no hope that search and rescue are going to pull out anything today, find Lynette today at all before these big wins come in tomorrow. The friend replies, we are here to help in any way, currently in Shreveport, but our boat is on the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain. We were actually going to buy a sailboat this week and bring both boats home to Shreveport. If you need anything, I will help where I can. And he finishes this text exchange by saying, congratulations on your sailboat, Captain, which is a very joyous, very friendly phrase for someone whose wife is missing. Thank you for your kind offers. I will be in touch as events unfold, which is interesting. He seems to think events are going to unfold. What is going to unfold? In his head, something is going to unfold. But as we've seen, it doesn't seem to be any hope of finding Lynette. So those are the texts. What do I think? I think he's selling a narrative. I think there's definitely things missing inside his story as he tells it. It all seems clunky. The fact that he doesn't mention Lynette, the fact he has no concern for Lynette, the fact that he doesn't think Lynette is going to be found, in his own words, all concern me. There is way more going on to the story than what we heard inside those texts. Why was he, taken in for questioning? Are there other things going on that are making the police suspicious? I don't know, but I would have to hear a hell of a lot more of him telling his story to know that something more didn't happen. I don't believe she just fell off this dinghy in the choppy seas. He seems to be selling a narrative. He seems to be hiding over things that happened, and he seems to have no concern. She disappears inside his story as much as she disappeared inside the, in life that she has disappeared, and lack of concern for her as well. Extremely, extremely worrying for me. I await developments. What do you think? I am at Jack Fox, NATW on the socials. If you want to get in touch, you can find a lot more in finding people's words, including check out some of the 911 calls from suspicious people who seem to have a very similar pattern to what we saw in those text messages there. And you can find them all at neveratruerword.com. I'll see you soon for something new from Never a Truer Word. And remember, the truth is always in the words.